Bad news for the LIV Tour. Players are furious. In this video, we will dive into what is happening in the world of golf and why this is bad news for the LIV Tour and its players. And we will go to explain why the players are furious. You cannot have missed the ugly legal fight between the LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, and now it's getting out of hand. Just like the rest of us, the guys at the center of the LIV Golf-PGA Tour controversy are tired of hearing about it. That does not imply that they do not think about it frequently. The number 54 player in the world ranking, Keith Mitchell, claims, "I wake up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. Honestly, that's all I think about." For the conflict that has shattered the top level of the men's game, Mitchell, 30, feels himself to be solidly in the PGA Tour's camp. Before competing in the Open Championship at St Andrews, he is in Scotland for this week's Genesis Scottish Open. Last week, Portland, Oregon, hosted the second tournament of LIV Golf's inaugural season. Brandon Grace took home the individual title and the $4 million top prize. Grace is one of the LIV golfers who obtained a stay in a British court on Monday, and as a result, she will compete at the Scottish Open this week at Renaissance Golf Club, despite exclusions from the PGA and DP World Tour. Billy Horschel came out strongly against LIV golfers on Tuesday who switched to play fewer events and spend more time with their families, but is now attempting to sue their old tours to play wherever they like. "According to me, they made their bed," Horschel declared. "They decided to go on tour, and they ought to go on that tour. They shouldn't return to play on the DP World Tour or the PGA Tour over here. To claim that they wanted to continue playing the LIV Tour while still supporting this tour, the DP or the PGA Tour, is, in my opinion, utterly absurd. Because of this, it is bad that such guys desire to make their bed. Please just leave us alone. I am one of the PGA Tour's 200 plus members at the same moment. The PGA Tour is me. Therefore, when you criticize the PGA Tour, you are criticizing us." Mitchell had a similar opinion, stating that while top players initially appeared to be united in their openness and desire to see how LIV golf would develop, there is now a more pronounced division among them. The likelihood of legal action plays a role in some of that, but there's also the knowledge that LIV's 14 events calendar in 2023 and beyond would harm PGA Tour prize money. Mitchell claims that these men going over are depleting golf's financial resources. If they have 14 events, they will compete against the 14 weakest PGA Tour fields. If the PGA Tour is going to have rubbish fields, why would sponsors keep giving them all this money? I believe it might damage sponsors and the game's total revenue. Spending more money on fewer players. More people are taking sides as this goes on longer. Before anything happened, there was only general discussion. What format is it in? Who will travel? In all honesty, it was just a rumor that guys were into. It aroused their interest. And as it became more evident, more men are taking sides. The worst part about it is that I got a phone call from one of my greatest sponsors telling me he heard I won $61 million. When I inquired about his source, I discovered that it was quite reliable. These are total fabrications, according to reliable sources. A precise number and the years, I haven't even spoken to the guys. Mitchell concurs with Horschel in feeling frustrated by some former PGA Tour players' complaints about Ponte Vedra as they were leaving the sport. Pat Perez and Patrick Reed both criticized Commissioner Jay Monahan at the LIV Portland event for allegedly not listening to the players. Perez claimed in Portland that he doesn't pay attention to the players. Somehow the PGA Tour keeps mentioning that we work for you, the players, and the players alone. The opposite is true. We appear to be employed by them. We have no control over anything. Speaking together at the Canadian Open on the US PGA Tour, which begins on Thursday and is LIV Golf's first competition outside of London, was number 1 Scotty Scheffler. McIlroy remarked, "It's a shame that it's going to break up the game. Watching the pros play is like shopping for golf. It just gets too complicated if the general audience is unaware of who is competing, where that tournaments are taking place this week, and yeah, he plays there but isn't invited to these events. Everything needs to work on being more unified, and I think it was headed in a positive direction before this happened," said the author. With a combined $255 million in prize money for its 8 events, the fledgling series has drawn players like Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, and Sergio Garcia. Several reports Patrick Reed and Bryson DeChambeau, who each won a US major, will play in LIV Golf's inaugural US tournament next month. It was announced on Wednesday. Since the tour denied PGA players' requests for releases to compete in a tournament opposite this week's stop at Toronto's Par 70, St. George's Golf and Country Club, the PGA has warned those players who play in England that there will be penalties. Thomas, an American who has won his second PGA championship last month, said it's a bummer. The choice is theirs, but I just wish it wouldn't be overshadowing the fantastic plots and activities on a trip that has been going on for a very long time and is at one of the best locations it has ever been. It's disappointing that those men won't participate. The Canadian Open will begin with 5 of the top 10 golfers in the world after being delayed for the last 2 years due to COVID-19. I would imagine things are relatively pristine here, said Scheffler. The best players in the world are here. I'm eager to face them in competition. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. 4-time major champion and 8th-ranked McIlroy reiterated his support for the US PGA while admonishing players against making decisions only based on financial gain. I don't want to take part in it, he declared. I wouldn't change anything about my schedule, my life, my income, or anything else. Most decisions you make in life that are made solely for financial gain don't turn out well. Professional golf is going through a strange phase. We'll simply have to wait and see how this season develops, whether any additional players opt to depart from the well-established tours, and what the results are. 6th-ranked Thomas expressed his disappointment with the athletes who chose the new circuit. I no longer despise DJ. He doesn't seem like an awful guy to me. I won't behave any different towards him. He is free to make any decision he wants, John said. He is not a bad person as a result. I regret it now and wish he and the others hadn't done it, but it was their choice. Since the US Golf Association announced on Tuesday that all LIV Golf players who qualified for the Open can play as scheduled, McIlroy wasn't angry either at the competitors who will face him in the US Open the following week. I can relocate to the men who went. I am aware of their aims and objectives, added McIlroy. I'm not in any way criticizing someone for going. They live it. They will decide. They are free to live it any way they like. The PGA Tour is where I want to compete against the top golfers in the world, though. Canadian Mackenzie Hughes objected to LIV Golf's scheduling in front of the Toronto competition. It stinks, muttered Hughes. Although it wasn't going to be the best of times, as a Canadian it is rather disappointing. I believe the majority of eyes will remain present. The very best area of this field is fantastic. Less than a year after going 5-0, whistling straights to help his country defeat Europe in the Ryder Cup, Dustin Johnson announced that he has resigned from the PGA Tour, making him ineligible to compete in the Ryder Cup and President's Cup. DJ reiterated that he decided to do what was best for his family because it is unknown how they would have survived on the $74 million he has earned in his PGA Tour career only from playing golf. He must have earned a sizable sum of money from the numerous advertisements he produced for both the bank he worked for many years and a private jet firm. However, his family should now be financially secure. The terrible human rights atrocities carried out by the Saudi regime doesn't appear to concern any of the participants. With meaningless statements and derogatory head gestures on Tuesday, they made that apparent. Since there will be team formats for the tournaments, we also got to learn the names of teams participating in this tour. For instance, Sergio Garcia will lead the Fireballs team. In fact, Fireballs team taking the illicit money to lead Team Fireballs is a former Masters champion. So what do you think about the future of LIV? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. That's the end of this video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.